You can't even drink
I
coffee.
like my coffee dark.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't think Joe Biden knows or cares what Dark Brandon is. I think his staff puts him up to this kind of stuff to sell T-shirts and
Yes.
sell mugs. But, Dark Brandon is a meme that started on the Chinese app Weibo several years ago in response to the Let's Go Brandon chant, the whole idea of saying F you to Joe Biden. And so somewhere on this Chinese app, Chinese propagandists start cooking up this sort of godlike version of Biden that has laser eyes. He sits on a throne of AR-15s that he has requisitioned from the American people. He destroys his enemies. He's powerful. He's everything that Joe Biden really isn't. And this is started on that app. It then enters the American mainstream through Twitter. Thank goodness, all good things happen on Twitter. And now, a couple of years down the road, Joe Biden himself and his communications team are selling Dark Brandon swag in record numbers through the campaign website for their 2024 campaign. Axios reported that Dark Brandon merchandise are the top selling items for the Joe Biden campaign. I was kind of gobsmacked by this because this is the guy who was the running mate to Hope and Change Barack Obama. And now we're at a point where the most popular item or message that you can put out there for your voters is, I will destroy and salt the earth with my enemies, meaning Republicans. It's pretty dark.
It really is. And I mean, look, this, as you point out in the piece, it does happen on both sides at some level. But there is a strange embrace here. And I'm somewhat torn between, look, it's just, silly fun, right? The Chinese propaganda angle conflicts me a little bit on that point. But I see what you're doing. Like, you're trying to take something that's a negative or something that's working for the other side and turn it into your favor. Right? I kind of get that. But there is an issue when you start praising the Darth Vader in your scenario, right? Like, when the Dark Lord is the guy you're cheering on, which sometimes happens in movies. It's okay in movies, but in real life, it's probably not a very healthy instinct.
Yeah, I think we should all be asking ourselves why foreign entities like Russian troll farms, they do this on the right with the God Emperor Trump meme and the whole idea of Trump as some sort of mighty God who can also destroy his enemies. This comes out of Russian troll farms. The Chinese propagandist farms, they cook up this Dark Brandon Joe Biden thing. And we should ask ourselves, why do they think this will take off? It's because these are totalitarian countries who truly believe that democracy is an aberration, sort of this random fluke of the last couple hundred years in human history. They believe that people want strongmen in China and in Russia. We know now that China is actually founding schools for autocracy in South Africa and funding authoritarian schooling programs for civic leaders in Africa because they believe that this works. And so they cook up this joke, they put it online, and Americans run away with it. We have fun with this stuff. I think memes are hilarious, and I find Dark Brandon to be funny, but it speaks to something underneath the surface within all of us, which is that we all want to control the way that the world works, the way that politics goes, and we would like to defeat our opponents who we consider to be, incredibly misguided and or dangerous to human prosperity and flourishing. And so this idea that the meme has sort of taken hold of Democrats really speaks to just how authoritarian and negative they are becoming in this era in response to Trump and Republicans.
I believe it was ancient philosophers Tears for Fears who pointed out that everybody wants to rule the world. And there is some there's something to that, right? It's like everyone wants to kind of have a fantasy league where you get to make all the decisions. And, I don't like to give Chinese propagandists too much credit on being right, but in some ways they are right here. Like, throughout human history is a story of people looking for the right strongman over and over and over and over again and learning a very bad lesson about what happens when you find the strongman. Because even if you find the right one for a year or 2 years or 3 years, eventually they start turning on not only your enemies, but also on you. And America's like the place that solved this. We were the ones that said, okay, we're going to go a different direction and try something new, this new incredible experiment. And lately, it feels like both sides, I would argue specifically, maybe more the left, but there is some of this on the right as well that wants to let me just find me the right strongman. The problem is we haven't found the right one yet. And like that is an instinct that constantly is punished throughout history.
Yeah, the philosopher king does not exist, but humankind will always be searching for that person. In my piece for National Review, you can look over a couple of different polls and studies that show that belief and foundational support for democracy and some of our institutions, such as the Supreme Court, are bottoming out, not just among, some Republicans, but hugely among Democrats. Democrats support the Supreme Court's existence at a rate of only like 17%, and it's dropped by half in just 2 years. What that should tell you is that Democrats, the people who kind of shout to the sky about protecting our institutions, they, just like anybody else, are susceptible to, well, if, democracy is under threat, maybe our institutions need to change or need to be thrown out entirely. We just need to break the emergency glass in order to save democracy. It's a losing gambit, and it's incredibly dangerous. In my piece, I try to not be alarmist about humor and memes. Again, like, memes are funny. I share a lot of them. But just like with sarcasm or dark jokes or saying cruel things to people in person, what comes out of you is a reflection of you. The words that you choose to use have an impact on your spirit, just like the content that we put out online. I happen to think that sharing aggressively authoritarian memes about our leaders, whether it be Reagan, Bush, Clinton, or Biden, is a reflection of something going on inside people, that we are searching for something that American democracy and our republic does not offer, which is quick and easy solutions from authoritarian figures.